Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you guys? I hope everyone is doing very well. And in this video, I would like to tell you a little bit of a story that I found inspiring for me, and I do hope that it's also inspiring for you. So, the story is about a message from a father to his son. So, once upon a time, the son was complaining to his father and decided not to go anymore to the mosque. His father started asking him, "Son, why do you want to quit and don't want to go to the masjid anymore?" And the son said, "There is no person, no one in the mosque that has a genuine purpose of coming to the mosque, visiting the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with good intention, and instead of doing that, they just go there and talk a lot about other people's mistakes, other people's sins, and they just backbiting each other. And I don't think this is an appropriate thing to be done by Muslim people. So I found that there is nobody whose intention is clearly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the mosque. So now, from now on, I will never go to the mosque again because I don't want to be contaminated by those people. And I'm so disappointed of what's going on in the mosque. Nobody is concentrating in terms of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, his father did not complain about his decision not to go to the mosque anymore, but his father started asking him to do something that would make him think more about that particular case. So his father asked him to bring a glass of water. So what his father asked him to do is to hold that glass of water that is full of water and go to a market close to his house and prevent anything that would cause the water from spilling out of the glass. So the son then started doing that. He started holding that glass of water, and he was very careful. He was walking out of the house with the glass full of water. He started going around the market. It's about 10-minute walking from his house. Then time went by. He came back from the market. Surprisingly, the amount of water in the glass did not decrease at all. So there is no water that was spilling out of the glass because he was really careful, and he successfully did it. So he came to his father, then he showed that he was successfully doing that, and his father patted him on his shoulder. "You have been successful, my son. And now, son, I'm gonna ask you, did you hear what people were talking about around you? Did you notice something around that stands out in your mind? Could you please tell me about a story that was going on somewhere in the market when you were going around?" And the son could not tell anything about what's going on in the market. He said, "I'm sorry, Dad, because I was really concentrating in paying attention so that the water in the glass would not spill out. So it's impossible for me to pay attention to other things." And the father started explaining that to his son. "My son, this is the same thing that has happened to you in the mosque. If we pay too much attention on people, we would not do our job, we would not do our task properly because we think too much about other people's stuff." And this is what probably has happened to you. I found this story very inspiring, whether it is a true story or a fake story, but the message from this story is that it tells us about focusing on certain things that we actually do rather than paying attention on something that people do. Now, the same thing. If we have a racing competition, if we pay too much attention on the steps of other people or on the steps of our opponent, then our opponent who are just focusing on their steps towards the goal will win, and we tend to be the loser because all we paying attention to is the steps of the others. So why not we just focusing on our steps, focusing on what we're doing, focusing on our goals, whether or not people are conducting good things, whether or not people are doing their good jobs, it is their business. So our job is to do the best based on what we have to do. There's no point of blaming others too much because it's not gonna affect whether or not we're gonna achieve our goal. And yes, we can suggest good things for people, but we cannot always pay attention all the time on the people's conduct. And since we were kids, since we were at elementary school, we were told about a proverb about our tendency to look at other people's fault rather than evaluating our fault or mistakes. An ant across the river appears so clearly, but an elephant in our eyes does not even appear. Gajah di pelupuk mata tidak tampak, tapi semut di seberang sungai tampak jelas. And this is, I think, a very powerful proverb because it tells and reminds us about how we tend to look and observe other people's fault very, very clearly, while our fault and our mistakes do not really appear in our mind. Which is why, if we want to succeed, focus on ourselves, focus on being better before we actually make people better. Focus on reminding ourselves before we actually remind others. We do need to always remind each other, but that doesn't mean that reminding others is sufficient. We need to get started to change ourselves, because without starting from ourselves, we'll never be able to change even something little in other people's life. Everyone is an agent of change. So as an agent of change, we need to think about changing from now and from a small thing. So that's what I want to say in this video. I hope that you guys found it also interesting and inspiring. I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you hit like button, share and subscribe. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.